So, growing up as introverted, as one of the quietest kids in my class, just that silent kid, I absolutely hated the fact that people just assumed I was boring. Because when I was with my friends, I was super loud. I considered myself a fun person. I was like a totally different guy. But it's like 90% of the world never saw that side to me. My teachers, the people in my school, even in my first couple of jobs, they all just looked at me as this boring, kind of weird, antisocial guy. And now that I'm a bit older, don't get me wrong, I am still very introverted, and maybe the world does have a little bit of an extrovert bias, but that's a topic for a different video. I have the humility to admit that I was probably doing a lot of things wrong. So in this video, I'm going to talk about 5 social mistakes that introverts are commonly making that inadvertently make us come across as a lot more boring. And that if we do the opposite of these, we can leverage them to show off the more fun, interesting, and confident side of our personality that we already have. So, number one is not speaking up enough in group conversations or discussions. And I don't want to lose you right here because I know this is the most annoying thing you can possibly hear as an introvert. Why don't you speak up more? Why do you never say anything? It's so fucking annoying, man, honestly. But I think it's fair to say that as introverts, we have a tendency to maybe overthink what we say a little bit too much in these kind of situations. Like, I remember back in the day, I'd be chilling with big groups of people. They're all having like this fun, lively conversation. And I'm just sat there, like, second guessing everything that comes into my head. Like, should I talk now? Should I say this? If I say this again, are they going to think that's kind of stupid? Are they all going to hate me? And before I know it, I've just sat there for like an hour and I haven't even said anything. And now I'm even more worried about the fact that they're going to notice that I haven't said anything. And that's just a terrible position to be in because you really don't want every conversation to feel like life or death. Like, surely that is not the way. Surely it's not right to have to be second guessing yourself to that level. So this is why we just need to get into the habit of sharing our raw thoughts, just speaking our mind. Like, there's like little thoughts that come into your head, the things that you end up dismissing as dumb. Those can actually be super valuable. That's your perspective. That's you being an individual. That's you contributing and like showing that you are a part of this group discussion. Like the other guys in this discussion, they probably say like so many dumb things in a row, but they're not overthinking it all. They just say it. Even if you say something dumb, what does it matter? Like, you have the right to speak. You have the right to share your thoughts. Not everything you say has to be this like perfectly thought out and articulated sentence. You should just say it. So train yourself to speak up in these situations, to handle the discomfort of being seen, and just know that your raw and unfiltered thoughts are something which is inherently valuable. So number two is spending too long around one group of people. So when I was at school, in my friend group and kind of maybe across the wider year group as well, I had a reputation for being the quiet kid. And that didn't exactly start in high school because I was quiet before that. But I distinctly remember this being the first time where I would get mocked for that, where people would make fun of me for being that quiet kid, where I began to associate my introvertedness as something which people saw as socially awkward or just any reason to dislike me. And the funny thing that happens when you develop a reputation like that, and this isn't specifically just for introvertedness, this can be a reputation for anything. It's like when you believe that everyone sees you in a certain way, you actually start to act more like that. Your behaviors start to align with that perception. It's like the bad kid who the teachers are always telling off. If he believes that everyone just sees him as the bad kid, he's going to act out more. He's going to get into trouble even more. And that was kind of like me. I believed everyone saw me as the quiet kid. So I became more quiet. I became less trusting of people and like less willing to socialize with people outside my small friend group. And my friend group themselves were actually pretty bad as well because they would just fucking bully me. We were kind of just bullying each other, but they would bully me all the time about being this super quiet kid, even though when I was with them, I wasn't quiet. But yeah, after I left school at 18 and I moved away to university, bro, it was like a massive weight lifted off my shoulders. And that was down to the fact that everyone at university, they didn't know my history. They didn't know that reputation that I had back home of being this quiet kid. And it's like, you know how liberating this is? Like, I talked about this in my last video. Those perceptions, like over the years, they just end up weighing you down and stopping you from kind of being who you want to be. So when you meet new people, it's like it's like you get to control to a certain extent how they see you. You get to choose what information about yourself that you give them, what information you're going to withhold. Like, I'm not talking about lying or anything like that, but what I'm saying is it's like a clean slate every time you meet someone new. And you can portray yourself exactly how you want. And this is actually part of the reason why I only have two close friends left from school. That's because I know that if I hung out with my old friends, either they're just going to treat me as exactly the same person, even though I've changed. I'm fundamentally different as a person. I'm 10 times more confident. They're going to treat me like this shy, quiet kid. And even if they don't, it's just the perception that I have in my mind. I'm going to hold on to that, and it's going to stop me from changing. It's going to stop me from continuing to evolve into the person I want to be. So yeah, it's kind of a deep topic. Like, it's starting to feel like a therapy session or something. But what I like to do is I want to keep going to new places, keep trying new things, meeting new people, forming different social circles, because I'm still an introvert. Don't get me wrong, but the difference is I'm no longer seen as the quiet guy. I'm the guy with quiet, confident energy. I own that side of myself and I like it. So number 3 is viewing all silences as awkward. Bro, the amount of times I've said this on this channel, like this really is one of the most important messages I have for you. Not all silence is awkward, and anyone who implies otherwise is just honestly fucking TikTok brained and part of the problem with this generation. So many people think that any kind of pause in a conversation can't last any longer than 5 seconds. Otherwise, you're going to be seen as weird or creepy. Like, oh, why isn't he saying anything? It's so fucking dumb. We need to normalize the fuck out of just taking a 10-second pause to think about what you've got to say, to like actually process what the other person has said and come up with like an appropriate response. Because the guy who speaks at a million miles an hour and rushes to fill some silence that he alone perceives as awkward, he's going to risk looking dumber, because he's going to be talking so fast he'll end up saying some dumb shit that he doesn't even really mean. It's such a deep topic because like awkwardness is something that we project. Like a conversation between two people with a pause, there's no meaning. Like, there's no meaning there. We attach all the meaning to it. Awkwardness is just something that comes from our head that we're like projecting onto these situations. I don't know if anyone's going to understand that, but it's like once that information clicks, it really clicks. But I always use the example of like the CEO of a company or some kind of like negotiator. If he takes like 20 seconds to think about what the other person has just said, is the other party going to perceive him as awkward? It's like, oh, why is he taking so long? Is he nervous? No, it's because they think he's someone who like thinks things through carefully. He's like philosophical. It's kind of a power move when you think about it, like taking that long of a pause. But it's not awkward, man. Like, a pause is just a pause. And also something kind of wholesome is that if I'm comfortable just being silent around you, just sitting with you and not saying anything, that means that you're someone that I trust. I don't do that with everyone. I'm not comfortable being totally silent with everyone. It's just my closest friends. And I think it's the same for a lot of introverts as well. So just get that through your head. Silence is silence. It's neutral. It's not awkward. So number 4 is not taking up enough space in your environment. So this relates to subcommunication. So things like your facial expressions, your tone of voice, your body language. And that actually accounts for like 60% of communication itself. 60% of communication is non-verbal. It has nothing to do with how you say. So all of these sub-communication type things, they actually are like a lot more important than the words you use in how a message is received by the other person. So what used to happen to me in situations where maybe I'm meeting new people, I'm feeling kind of uncomfortable, I don't really want to be there, that would end up manifesting itself in my body language. I'd be like more hunched over. I'd have some like nerd neck posture going on. I just find myself taking up a lot less space in general. And really, just to translate that, what my mental state is saying is that I don't deserve to be here. I don't think I'm worthy of these people's time or attention. Just get me out of here, basically. Or at least that is how other people are gonna see you, because it's an unpleasant truth, but people will see this body language and they'll either not want to talk to you because they'll think you're kind of awkward, or when they do talk to you, that is the conclusion they'll come to. There's this idea called the law of state transference, which basically says that your physical and emotional state, just the overall energy you're projecting, rubs off on the other person. So if you appear visibly nervous, they're going to start thinking that they have a reason to be nervous. It's going to transfer to them. And we don't want to be the kind of guy that's just making other people feel uncomfortable, even if our intentions are good. So a really good way we can short circuit this discomfort and not have people perceive us this way is to kind of like act against it. It's to like do the opposite with our body, to stretch out, to like kind of keep our shoulders pinned back, good posture. If we're sitting down, I'm not going to lie, you need to start manspreading. Like, people go on and on about manspreading as if it's some bad thing, but manspreading and taking up a lot of space in your environment, that's conveying to people that you think you're important, that you think you're worthy of being there and around them. And people don't even realize it's like sending signals to your brain that, okay, I'm relaxed. There's nothing threatening in this environment. I can be chill. And it's like calming your body down and making you have like the opposite feelings that you were having before. And this is honestly like the 80-20 of body language. There's not much other stuff that you need to know, in my opinion, but this is like a very underrated tip. And finally, number 5 is being afraid to go first. So you want to know the reasons why extroverts carry so much social capital in unfamiliar situations, like when everyone is meeting each other for the first time, is because most people carry the belief that the person who is radiating the most confident energy, maybe the loudest person, maybe the person who's already initiating conversations with the strangers around him, they believe that person is going to make it easy for them. It's like the opposite of awkwardness. It's like, okay, this person is going to carry the conversation for me. I'm not going to have to put in much work here. And this is exactly how I used to view these kind of situations. I'd be in like a big room full of people I didn't know, and I'd wait for the groups to form. Usually there's some like super extroverted person in the middle, and then I'd latch onto the group. I'd kind of be a background guy. Like, I might say a few words to the people around me, but generally just try to go unnoticed. But the thing is, that's one way to just be seen as this boring and unmemorable person. So what I find quite enlightening is that really all the extrovert has done in that situation, 90% of the work he's done just by being willing to go first, just by being direct with people, being willing to just go over to someone they don't know and say hi immediately. All this other stuff, being loud, saying the most words, it's all secondary. The thing which is really going to do most of the work for you is just the willingness to go first, to be direct and like go over and introduce yourself right away. If you want to be considered memorable, you can't just be letting other people do all the work. You can't just be a background guy. I just came back from a solo trip to Porto where I was staying in a hostel, and they organize these like group activities to get people talking. So within an hour of me turning up to this hostel, I'm out with this big group and we're like going to this food market and trying all these like different foods and shit. And I very quickly became friends with these 2 girls. We were getting on really well, and like I saw that I could see myself hanging out with them for the rest of this trip. And it was getting a bit later, and they were telling me, Tommy, we're gonna go and buy some wine and watch the sunset. Do you want to come? And I was thinking, yeah, that sounds nice, but there's actually a lot of people here, like this big group of people, and I haven't even talked to most of them. I haven't even introduced myself. So I said, guys, I'm going to hang back and I'm just going to like talk to a few more people. So I ended up going and sitting with this group of girls, very direct, went and introduced myself. We got in this like really, really, really fun conversation, ended up staying another hour. And the funny thing is, if I hadn't made the extra effort to stay a bit longer and break the ice with these girls, then I wouldn't have met this girl that was sitting next to me in the market, and we basically ended up like seeing each other for the whole holiday. So it was quite a nice what if moment, and just like something which kind of reminds me, okay, keep pushing yourself socially. It feels hard to go first, but honestly, there's like rewards there that you wouldn't even know about unless you consistently tried it. Even if you're not the loudest person, even if you're not even going to say that much after you've introduced yourself, just remember that the first voice, that person who goes first, still carries a lot of influence. They're still incredibly memorable because people respect that you're putting in the effort, that you're trying to make it easy for them, because no one else wants to go first. So if you can make it easy for them, people are always going to respect that and appreciate that. So that is all from me today, bro. Remember that it's not all about being the loudest person in the room. As long as you're consistently getting out of your comfort zone and trying new things, that is all that matters, really. So take care, man. I will see you in the next one.